Hey guys, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. Subscribe, like, and check out some of my other videos. After I posted my video about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I wanted to do another video today looking at some of the worst online reviews for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. As we all know, and as I talked about in my last video, the Super Mario Bros. Movie has getting really mixed responses, particularly between critics and fans, with fans thinking this movie is fantastic and critics finding it pretty middling. And I get why, and I talked about in my last video how I think if you're not someone who is fully immersed in the world of Nintendo and Super Mario, you couldn't possibly relate to this movie on the level that fans would, and that's why a lot of the critical reviews are so mixed. But a lot of these journalists and film critics who are reviewing the movie clearly just have no understanding of Nintendo or Mario whatsoever, and some of the things they're writing are so stupid that I just had to unpack them here in a video. One of the funniest reviews I saw was from CTV News in Canada. The headline for their review says that the Super Mario Bros. Movie has all the charm of an unplugged Game Boy, implying that the movie has no charm because if a Game Boy was unplugged it wouldn't work. But the reason this review sucks so much is because Game Boys don't get plugged in. That is very awkward for CTV Canada. As we all know, Game Boys run on AA batteries, meaning they are never plugged in. And since we all grew up playing Game Boys, games like Pokemon and Tetris, there was a lot of charm to those games, which means I can only conclude that this review means that the movie was full of charm too. Scouring through negative reviews on Metacritic, we get this awful review from Robbie Collin at The Telegraph. Somehow, this new animated adaptation of the video game is even worse than the abominable 1993 live action. Even the CGI is second rate. Well, that's just a lie. I don't think anyone reasonably could conclude that this new Super Mario Bros. Movie could possibly be worse than the live action one from the 90s. Even if you are looking at it as just a kid's movie, it is a great kids movie, okay? I understand if you're an adult with no attachment to the franchise, you wouldn't get it or care, and you might think it's a bad movie, but there is no way, as a kids movie, you would show them the live-action 90s one as opposed to this one. No way. Bad review. Roger Moore from Movie Nation. The few laughs kind of die of loneliness in what is allegedly a children's animated comedy, and without laughs, all this ill-conceived animated replacement for one of the most infamous live-action flops of the 90s has to offer is nostalgia for a simple game of a simpler time. The 8 and unders that this is aimed at are way too young to get that. Oh man. This guy, Roger Moore, clearly doesn't know that the Super Mario Bros. Franchise is long-running and continues to be relevant in the gaming sphere to this day. The last main entry game, Super Mario Odyssey, was considered one of the best games ever made. He's literally acting like this movie is nostalgic to the original Super Mario Bros. Game, that original side-scrolling game, as if there's never been any more Mario games since then. And he's like, well, kids weren't around in the 80s and 90s, so they're not gonna get this movie. Dude, are you aware of how widespread Super Mario Bros. Is? Are you aware of how many games there are? Mario Party, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros., Mario Strikers. Zaki Hassan from the San Francisco Chronicle. Occasionally amusing, but rarely engaging. It leaves one feeling like they're standing to the side and watching someone else play a video game. This take I've seen a lot. This whole idea of it's like you're watching someone play a video game. Really terrible take, particularly in 2023, because one, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like an engaging movie, especially if you like the franchise. Two, there is an entire industry of people streaming games to audiences that watch them play games. So this stupid, idiotic take shows that you not only have no awareness of the broadness of the video game industry, but it also just shows that you completely misunderstand modern society. Watching people play video games is currently one of the most popular things you could do on the internet. So this guy doesn't know that, doesn't get it, and again, all these guys sound like they're like in their 40s and they just have no idea about anything and they're like, oh, Super Mario, but it's stupid. Terrible review. A 1-star review from The Guardian from Wendy Ide. Game over for this lazy animated mess. and goes on to say that the film does the bare minimum to please its loyal existing fan base. I want to gouge my own eyes out after reading that. The bare minimum? But how can you even say that when you're not even familiar with the franchise as a whole, clearly? But also, it does so much more than the bare minimum in terms of fan service, which, by the way, is the world building of the movie. All these little things and attention to detail is world building. It's not just, Easter egg here, Easter egg there. It makes the world feel authentic and lived in, and that's what's important about it. And the bare minimum, there are references in this game to so many, one, Nintendo properties, two, Mario games and franchises, and all kinds of things like that. How can you say that they've done the bare minimum there? Because to me, the bare minimum would just be having a movie with Mario, Peach, and Luigi in it. That is one of the worst takes on this movie that I have seen. Brian Tallarico from RogerEbert.com. The latest animated blockbuster from Illumination is their most soulless to date. A film that feels like ChatGPT produced it after data and imagery from the games were fed into a computer. Well, Brian, that's so topical that you mentioned ChatGPT. Well done, man. First of all, saying that it's Illumination's most soulless picture to date is ludicrous. Look at some of their movies. I implore you, look at them. In fact, I would argue the opposite. I would argue that this film is literally full of soul. The soul of Nintendo, the soul of Super Mario Bros., the soul of Miyamoto, the creator of the franchise. This movie is full of soul. And the idea that it was put through the ChatGPT to make is just, oh god, it's just like, I'm out of touch. How do I sound in touch? Terrible review. All right, I might leave it there for now, but I just wanted to give some examples of the terrible criticism going on, because this movie means so much to a dedicated fan base, and like reviews like this that are so clearly out of touch with the reality of the situation just make me so annoyed. But anyway. Guys, I do a bunch of pop culture videos on this channel. I'd love for you to subscribe and check out some of my other videos, and thumbs up this one. Comment below, what's the worst review you've seen of this movie? I'll see you in the next video.